Welcome to the Schools of Excellence podcast, a place for insightful conversations about building sustainable schools of excellence. Join me each week as we explore the importance of leading with your values, creating impact, and leaving a lasting legacy. My goal on the show is to provide you with clarity, elevate your mindset, and equip you with practical strategies and inspiration. I'm Chanie and Ashley, a proud mother of four, a former New Yorker, now savoring sunny Florida vibes. With a professional journey spanning 18 years across all levels of school leadership, I bring nuanced insight that delve into the intricate details of running a center, as well as the broader visionary aspects of leadership. Thank you for joining me for this conversation. Let's build a legacy of excellence together. Welcome back, everyone, to the Schools of Excellence podcast.
Hey.
Today, we have another conversation with a fellow member who's been in the program for some time now. Welcome to the podcast, Ashley.
Hello.
Awesome.
Thank
So,
you.
Ashley, tell us where your center's located, how many teachers you have, and what made you decide to join Schools of Excellence?
Oh, that's a good question. So I found your podcast like spring of 2020, things were going down. And I spent a lot of time for about 2 years listening to your podcast about gardening. And I was, at that point, I was in the early childhood profession for about 12 years, working with 3, 4s, and 5s, but really moving into more and more leadership. And then in 2022, I found myself 9 months pregnant, accepting a director position in the program that I helped start it in 2010. And then it was, kind of like I started my tenure in administration on maternity leave, which was, kind of a moment of, am I insane or am I not? I don't know. And then it was kind of just like, it was just kind of some roller coasters of ups and downs, but I kept finding your podcast is kind of like a lot of inspiration. And then this winter, we kind of just had it, like some things happened in our center. We lost a student unexpectedly to a tragic illness. And then like about a month later, I had just a conversation with a family that was so negative that I just kind of really took a deep dive in, and I was like, is this something I want to continue doing? Is this like, where am I best in the early childhood industry? And I was like, I really realized I needed more support on the administration level. And so I just thought, you know what? I have grant funding. I'm going to jump in. I'm going to fill out the survey. I was like, it's now or never. I need to figure out.
Your sound went out.
Oh, my sound went out? Sorry.
Okay. No, that's okay. Now it's back. So you said you were questioning if you wanted to be in the role, and then you realized you needed support at the administrative level.
Absolutely. And I realized before I could make that decision, I needed to put supports in place for myself, to then be able to put systems in place and now really reflect on where is my path going? So, so I filled out the survey after just like some hard moments, but also some really profound professional moments too, of just sitting across from a table from a family thinking, I never want to be in a conversation like this again. And how can I set myself up for success not to be? But then also too, just reflecting like leading a staff through grief, leading a staff through profound loss was also a huge pivotal moment for me professionally that I think I will always come back to, because I think I realized in that moment that yes, this is something, that way that I can support people working with children. But the support that I found within the School of Excellence has been tremendous. So I'm excited to be here today.
Yeah. It's so interesting how we each have our kind of rock bottom moment where we decide these are the crossroads that I need to really make a decision. Am I going to continue to flail around and just try to get by? Or am I really committed to being the best leader that I could be? And if I am committed to being the best leader that I could be, then I need the support to get there. And that requires vulnerability, especially from someone who's been in the field for so long, right? Like it wasn't your first rodeo. I'd love if you can share how you really work through that experience of like, okay, I'm going to need a mentor, which means I'm going to need to reckon with the fact that I don't know everything and I'm probably going to make some mistakes. And like, how did you work through that?
I think even before I accepted the position of administration and moving into an official director's role, I knew there's a lot of humility that needs to go with that. And being 9 months pregnant, accepting that role, there was a lot of reflection for myself and even with my husband. Are we like, do I want to go back to that survival mode? And true survival mode, of like, because I'm like, I'm a teacher right now. I got everything going. Like, I don't have to think about a lot of things, but also to really recognizing that this was a good place to stretch and grow professionally and where I was at. And so I just think I come to a lot of my experiences with a growth mindset, and I really coach my staff that we are always learning, that I am even 2 years in, like just how I communicate with parents shifted so much. Even I think back to where I was 18 months ago as a role of administrator, having conversation with parents was such a change. And I could identify that in myself, that like, whoa, I don't have the words anymore because I'm not hands-on anymore. So it's just that knowing that there was going to be growth in those areas. And I really coach my staff a lot too, and that we have to be able to pivot. We have to be able to be adaptable and flexible, because we're even just noticing the changes in the children that we're serving, in their regulation skills, in their abilities to attend and focus. And we talk a lot about brain development and how the brain is changing because of social media, because of screens and all those different things. So it's kind of, I've been coaching our staff a lot too of, veterans who've been in the field for 20 some years are feeling like their toolkits, their bags of tools is not as deep as it once was. And so I think just really coming from it to a place of like, we always need to learn has been really helpful. And it's helpful to model that too with my staff.
I think there's something really interesting where you're sharing the toolkit is not as deep as it once was. I think an interesting perspective also that I like to look at is when we head into a season where the world is shifting, the economy is contracting, things are just really different. It's not that our toolbox isn't necessarily as deep. It's that we have to trade out the rusty tools for new ones and upgrade it in a way where we can look at and say, is this strategy that I've been using until now still effective and efficient given the current climate that I'm leading in? And this is what I love about the program is we support our members through the different seasons and changes that happen in the industry and also at a national and global level, because you can't, yes, there are these foundational things, and we're going to talk about foundations in a minute, that you always need to be doing no matter what's going on in the world. But you also have to be agile and flexible to the economy is different. The world is different. Are we adapting to what's coming at us?
I love that analogy of the rusty tools, because I'm always talking about how we got to be scrappy a little bit. And that fits really well into literally just scrapping the old and bringing in the new, honey.
Yeah, I think it's a great way to communicate to staff, because especially when we communicate to veteran staff, or even for those of you that are listening that are, veteran leaders, directors, owners, we can sometimes take a little bit of a beating on our own ego or self-esteem when we say things like, oh, I need an update on my tools. I need an update on my strategies. It can feel sometimes a little defeating, like, but I've been in the industry for so long. Like, what else are you going to teach me? What else is there to learn? It's not about what else is there to learn. It's about how are you using the skills that you already know? Are you pouring, meaning if you're trying to water 2 acres of land, you can't really use a little flower pot. Like, you got to use a sprinkler system, right? And if you're trying to treat 5-10 acres of land for bug spray, you can't really use off. You kind of got to use a system that can cover the ground. And when we're in a different environment, are you using the tools at the leverage that they need to be used at?
Absolutely. I love how you phrase things. So
Thank you. So let's dive into foundations. When members first join the program, the first thing that we always have members work through is foundations. I'd love for you to share your experience of working through that content and how that's really supported some foundational stability for you as a leader.
Absolutely. One of the things that I inherited is I inherited a program that didn't have systems documented. And so I had been really working towards documenting some systems, but then also to just trying to figure out like, whoa, as an administrator, my email inbox was overwhelming. And, and I was just, yeah, I know. I mean, we've talked about this, right?
Yeah.
But like some of the things I really appreciated about the foundations is because I was just kind of in this place of like, I need support. Like when you presented a system such as like I may be using the terminology incorrectly, but the scheduling of the calendar.
Yeah, the time blocking.
The time blocking. Oh, thank you.
Yes.
The time blocking. Yes. So I had been like trying to do some systems on my own. And of course I didn't have time to like research anything. But then like once I got into foundations and like you presented a strategy, I was like, I have nothing to lose. I'm just going to dump it all in right now. And I am just going to try it because I have nothing to lose, like I said. And it kind of came like I was entering that season or those videos, that content, right when I was entering enrollment season for our school. We don't do open enrollment. We kind of register based on a school year system. And so we have kind of like these 2 or 3 weeks where my inbox is just flooded with, questions of what the program is best for my child, all these different things. Current families figuring out their schedules for next year, new families. But I had implemented that time blocking the same week that started, and it transformed my inbox. And it was so cool. I was like, thank you, honey, for just providing this simple little strategy, because I tracked it too, because I was able to manage like 50 extra emails a day, and it didn't stress me out. Because I was planning for them the next day. I was keeping on top of things. And that I think was one of the biggest pivotal moments for me was when I went home for the first weekend in like 18 months and was like, I'm not feeling stressed. And that doesn't happen every weekend, but I was really, really thankful in that moment for like, man, I was managing like 50 additional emails a day on top of everything else that I was doing, staffing schedules, but I was able to schedule it and get some control on it, which was really uplifting and was powerful. So that was one of the things that was critical for me. And I really liked your advice in one of the trainings was like, when you're feeling like anxious or feeling dysregulated, go back to your calendar. That is like one of the biggest pieces of advice that I have been able to hold on to, is that when I am feeling that dysregulation or feeling like I'm overwhelmed in whatever season we are in school, is going back and calendaring has been so helpful. Other thing too that I found really important about the calendaring was then being able to communicate and share that with my staff. So at one of our meetings, I put up on the screen my calendar for a week. And it was so helpful for my staff to see that. And I shared it with them, not in a place to guilt them, not in a place to be like, look at me, I'm working so hard. And I acknowledged that with staff. But really, I said, so when you come up to me in the hallway and you ask me for something about ordering or your schedule, and I'm telling you, I need you to send it to me in an email, this is why. And I literally showed them, like, when I get your email, I schedule it now. So if you don't send me that email, it's not getting tracked. And that was really like a profound moment for me of like, it's not about like, woe is me, my job is hard or I have a lot of work, but it's just like, I can do this because I'm putting systems in place and I need your help to do that. So, and it's also been helpful then to hold people accountable as well when they're like, hey, I recently had something, for example, it was working. I do all the scheduling of my staff and I do all, like if I need someone to pick up a shift, I do all staff. I do it all via email because then in my inbox, anytime I send out a request or time off approval, I file it into a separate file so that it just it's kind of a system, but it's my
Yeah,
system. And
exactly.
anyways, I had asked this person to pick up a shift. I never got an email response back. And so I didn't fill it with them. And then they came back and they're like, hey, I told you in passing one day. So like, I see you didn't give me these hours. And I, respectfully responded of, that is so great. You may have told me in passing, but we've had conversations of, I need you to respond in writing because I will not be able to track that information. So I apologize that I was not able to give you these hours for this shift now, but please know going in the future, if you respond by email, I can then move forward with it. So it was just kind of a really nice way to help hold people accountable because it takes a lot of work to schedule. It takes a lot of work, but it's also just nice to have that conversation of like, we've had these conversations. I've explained to you my strategy or explained to you my processes, and without follow-up written communication. And I'm not saying I'm perfect always. There's always that.
You're not supposed to be. You're a human.
Nope, not perfect. But I mean, I truthfully said to her, like, honestly, I don't remember that conversation, and I don't have the capacity to remember every conversation. So
nor should you. That shouldn't be an expectation.
Absolutely.
Right? I think there's so many things I want to pull apart here for whoever's listening. Oftentimes I speak to leaders and I hear things like, I really need to work on my systems, or I really need to work on my processes. I think that's a death trap in a lot of ways, because if we don't have a sequential buildup of foundational systems and then the next level system and then the different kinds of systems that need to be put in place to create this cascading effect, we just kind of come into every day saying, one day I'm going to build a system, one day I'm going to build a process, one day I'm going to write this SOP. And the beauty of schools of excellence and the way we've designed foundations to survival, to disorder, to all the different stages of the pyramid of excellence is each stage communicates what system needs to be put in place in this stage to take you to the next one. I don't think there's anything more irritating as doing the right thing at the wrong time. So you could be doing the right system, but if you're implementing it in the wrong season or the wrong stage, you're not going to get a result, and you're going to liquidate a lot of resources, of people, of time, of energy, of mental space that's not going to deliver the results. So what you're sharing, Ashley, here is just so beautiful in how you built the calendar, you built your inbox system, and the immediate impacts of accountability, of communication, of streamlined communication, of stress reduction, all of a sudden starts to create more capacity where now you could start working on the next level stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, it is. And like I said, like, it's not perfect by any means. Like, I still have
moments. Supposed to be perfection.
No. But the ability to go back and have the skill set or have the practice relied upon, or I can rely upon it, is really, really, really important. So,
walk us through, after you work through foundations and you started to dig into some of the other content, which we have on like one-on-ones and classroom observations and, supporting staff and families in some other ways. I'd love for you to speak to how the coaching calls and strategic advisories have continued to support your growth as a leader.
Absolutely. Two things really come to mind. One is it's just giving me opportunities to reflect on things of, is that something I can add into my program? Just helping me define where I am at, of like, that's a great idea, but I can't implement that now. I think that's one of the biggest things that I've taken away from the School of Excellence is really recognizing where is my capacity, and we also talk a lot about like the season of life, but also like where we are in the seasonally in our program. I had another opportunity this year, and I was so thankful to rely upon the skills I learned through you, Chanie, and like everyone, is that we were kind of piecemealing a staff's classroom schedule together. It was just the afternoon support staff that came in, like a 4-hour shift every day. And we had 80 hours of consistency in the room with 2 full-time people. And they were perseverating on the idea that we have to have a consistent person every single day. And I was able to effectively say, hiring in February, like right now, we are focused on enrollment. We are focused on admissions. I said, right now, we are not in a place to post a job position when we are putting this, when we have 3 dedicated people who are being the consistent person in that room, and really acknowledging that, like, yep, come March, we're going to be posting. In February, I'm not in a place right now to be able to post. So just really recognizing those places of, this is where our focus is. This is where my energy is at in this moment for the next couple weeks, because I am in a hiring blitz right now. And I'm like, yeah, I'm so glad I set that pay or that boundary, that limit, just because hiring takes a lot of work. And sometimes I'm kind of a one-woman ship in ways. And so I can't vet candidates, can't be scheduling interviews if my focus needs to be on building those relationships, of having significant and effective communications throughout our admissions and enrollment season. So that was one thing that I've really, and just like even listening to even yesterday I was on a round table discussion, and it was such an enlightening one. And it was just like,
tell us the topic?
It was on effective communication for teacher leadership with Jill. I was like, I need to send Jill an email now.
Yeah, she would love that. That would be so kind of you, so gracious, right? Such a way to pay it forward.
Absolutely. And I wanted to, I want to connect with her on something else too.
Yeah, sure.
But there were some really good things where I'm like, oh, that would be amazing. Can't do this at the moment. Or like just thinking about things of like, as we move into the new school year. So it's nice that not everything has to be implemented right in this moment.
Yeah.
But it's just building ideas, building what we can have, or what we can potentially accomplish. The other thing that I really appreciate, because I'm part of a private school institution, and there is a large like preschool cohort in my area that supports preschool, private preschool as part of this group. But the thing that I really appreciate about Schools of Excellence, truthfully, is that it's global, that it's nationwide, that we're getting perspectives from so many different organizations and different types of organizations that I think is missing in this other cohort community that I can rely upon. Just because I think diversity of experience, or also recognizing similarity of experiences, whether you're, myself in Minnesota or, across the country or in Canada, it's just, there's a lot of similarities, but it's also been really helpful just even understanding things. I've been having conversations with people regarding like their licensing and, different regulations that they have. So, yes, and I'm still working in survival. I will say that.
That's fine. Again, survival takes anywhere between 4 to 6 months, sometimes longer. So it takes time to work through it.
And I see it. And I think I was on a call with you earlier this week, and you said to me, like, you said something that was so profound to me, which was so helpful. And I'll reiterate that now, is when you were like getting your daily huddle, or not daily huddles, getting your one-on-one systems in place, you won't see rewards or see like really until 6 months out. So having some of those metrics too, of knowing, or not metrics necessarily, but like timelines of like, okay, like that's really helpful for me in planning, but then also too, like not wanting then to just throw a strategy away or throw a system away. So that was really helpful this week when we were in a call, and I was like, or in a coaching call. Yeah, that was a coaching.
Yeah, it was on a coaching call. Yeah.
So,
I'd love for you to speak to the strategic advisory, because, that's, every other week. And sometimes I'm speaking on mentorship, or sometimes I'm speaking on time sensitive things. And I find often, again, as leaders that are listening to the podcast now, sometimes we feel like there's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing different that I don't know about already, or maybe there's too much going on. I don't know where to focus or whatever it is. How have the short strategic advisories really just impacted your mindset and leadership in the way you go about decision making? Because that's, I find, the biggest reason why I do strategic advisories, is to support better frameworks for quality decision making.
Absolutely. The strategic advisory, I try to come to them. I schedule it on my calendar and I try to show up to them. It's like one of the appointments that like I so rarely miss in School of Excellence.
Yeah.
I like that. And this may sound silly, but I like that they're on Monday mornings. I get my staff settled and then I'm like, okay,
time. Yeah.
Let's see what's going on.
Yeah.
And I just like that. Like you've been recently really focusing on mentoring.
Yeah.
And I will admit that conversation of just like where I'm at has seemed almost a little overwhelming in ways of like, I don't think I'm in this place right now. And so, or just like how my staff is structured, but it's given me a lot of insight on how I'm moving forward in this hiring cycle. And like making then like, I am implementing now. I've restructured some things in my program. So like when we are onboarding new lead teachers, they are part of a mentorship program. So that they are being well assimilated to our culture, feeling supported, even just assimilating to our parent culture too, being a private institution, because that can sometimes be a huge shift for new teachers coming in. So providing support in a variety of different ways. And then also too, like, how am I using myself best and who do I need to target and mentor in that way? And one of the biggest things that I have come to realize is that I can't mentor everyone. I cannot mentor everyone. And I think that's why it was an overwhelming topic to be like listening to.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Recently, or like when I first started.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I was like, oh, this topic does not seem like it's relevant at this moment to me and where I was at. But it's given me a lot of thought, because that was one of the things that I was struggling with. Was I was that teacher leader in the classroom, mentoring the assistant teachers, mentoring the other lead teachers as a teacher leader in my program, and then moving to administration. I can't be doing that same, like I just don't have the capacity. I don't have, my job does not allow for it to be in the same role. And I can't when, like if I'm not hands-on and not with them daily. So that's kind of been a shift for me, but then also to really thinking about, okay, now I have this system lined up for a mentor, but how am I going to mentor the mentor? Which sounds maybe insane, but also too, though, of bringing this person into the leadership role. I also have an opportunity right now. My like administrative assistant / financial person has resigned, and I am now in the process of hiring for that position. So really utilizing what these strategic advisories have been recently, and really thinking about how are we going to onboard and how are we going to mentor this first year as we are learning how we're going to work together, the partnership, but then also as we go through all the different seasons this coming school year of what needs to happen when, because I really want this person to be an autonomous person who can take initiative, be self-sufficient, and all those things. So it's, but I appreciate, I like the strategic advisory, and sometimes I just sit and listen. So
again, they're each season has its purpose, and kind of sometimes you're actively engaged, sometimes you're just listening, and your brain just clicks onto certain things that are important for you right then. What has surprised you most from being inside of the program?
Oh, that's a good question. I think one of the things that has surprised me the most has been the ability to find success in being an administrator, and knowing that I came to this position with a lot of good skills, and putting time into myself as an administrator and taking time to develop those skills in like a formalized, or not maybe formalized, I don't know, but taking a moment to invest in myself. Because coming from the classroom as teachers, there was not a mentorship program in my building. So like it's kind of like I was seeking this out, and I've gotten everything out of it so far that I've been wanting to get out. That that it's provided me with some systems. It provides me with support of people that I can reach out to, having like a success coach. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah,
Sorry. I get everything jumbled up. And
how has the success coach supported you? Yeah, talk to us a little bit about that.
Oh yeah. So one of the things I didn't realize was that I could set up individual meetings with the success coach right away. And when I realized that, I was like, oh, that's so cool. And I had this conversation with my success coach, and it was really cool because she one day just said, because I was like stressed out about like summer onboarding, and she was like, just pick a date in your calendar. It was like May 8th or something. She was like, just pick a day in your calendar. And then for the next 3 weeks, you do not need to worry about any of your onboarding processes.
Mm-hmm.
Do everything else. Just don't worry about onboarding processes. Mm-hmm. And then on this date that you picked, where it was like May 8th or something, then you can focus on that. Mm-hmm. And that just like little tweak of a mindset was so helpful. And I was like, okay, I can do that. I can just pick it. And it was really helpful because like I had said earlier, like my calendaring system was amazing. And then April and May happened, and I was running at like zero margin in my schedule, and I could feel it. I was like, oh, I do not like this. I cannot work from like the moment I walk into the door to the moment I leave, like creating newsletters and editing things and creating communications and onboarding staff and more onboarding staff and, doing work agreements and all these things. And it was so helpful in that season of like, this is an intense workload, for my success coach to just be like, pick this date and don't allow yourself to worry about any of the onboarding piece until you get to that date. And so I found that was really helpful. And it's like, I like those just little strategies, or just the option of can you think about it in a different way?
Yeah. And the whole point of why we brought on success coaches this year was to really create more customization and accountability for our clients, so that they have the content, the community, the coaching, but they also have radical accountability and someone that could really support their growth with resources, with accountability, with different perspectives. So I think my last question to you is, when, people listen to, clients share their experiences through the program, our minds always go to, it's not the right time, this is not the right place for me, I don't know that I'm going to utilize it, what if I don't learn anything new, am I going to implement it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I would love to hear from you. What would you say to the person that is on the fence of joining the program?
I would say, no matter what, you'll take things away from it. That no matter the season you're in, no matter if you are feeling like you're doing your job well, or if you're not, or if you I think it's the support. I think it's the consistency. But I think as long as you are willing to invest in yourself and put time into it, you will get benefits out of it. Because have I used everything in the system?
You're not supposed to.
Nope. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Yeah. But the places where I've been able to really say and lean into something and be like, I'm good, this is going to be a focus, I want to implement something, it's been really helpful to know that I'm in a place now where I feel like I can sustain this for years to come. And I have even the places where we're not 100%, or we're not where my program I want it to be, I can see though how we can get there now. And, recently I was listening to something in one of your things. I don't even know where it was at, but I was listening to it and you were talking about how the program changes. The program, not this program, but like our own programs. So like the program, and it was such a helpful lens, because like the program I started in 2010 is not the same program that I took over in 2022. And it is not the same program today. It is radically different in many positive ways, but just having that insight of like our programs are evolving, we are evolving as humans, and which means we need to be adaptable, we need to be flexible. And so it's about then seeing that like, okay, this system or this is an area of our school that we need to improve upon, but I don't need to handle it or I don't need to tackle it this moment. I can plan for it, and we can bring people in to help support that and get the buy-in from the staff, but also do all that prep work to prepare the staff for the change.
I love that.
Yeah. And so I just think if you're willing to put a little bit of investment in yourself, I think you take out of it what you put into it. So
absolutely. Always. That's with anything in life. That's with anything in life.
Absolutely. So
Ashley, it has been such a pleasure connecting with you and just learning about your experience, about your journey in the program, about how you've really taken to heart so much of the strategies. And I'm looking forward to seeing what your next chapter looks like. So thank you so much for joining us.
You are welcome. Well, thank you for the invite. It's been fun.
If you are loving the Schools of Excellence podcast and have gotten any value out of it for your school, I would love if you can do two things for me. One, subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode. And two, can you please leave us a review? Reviews help other school leaders know that this is the place to learn how to build a school of excellence. And I would be so grateful if you can do that for us. Your help and support makes this show to be able to be listened by the thousands of other school leaders all around the world. Thanks so much for listening, for giving us your time and attention each and every week. And I appreciate that you have joined us.